Everybody, this chat with nobody else's auto. It is 7 o'clock Sunday evening, time for Sunday Night Live chat. We are live as usual on Facebook and YouTube, so we'll give everybody a few seconds to get their notifications so that they know we're on and we're ready to go tonight, and then we'll get rolling into tonight's chat. Hopefully, we'll have some better internet next week. They are actually scheduled to hook up my fiber tomorrow, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that helps, especially with the Facebook feed. We've still been having some issues with that here lately. Got a few people jumping on with Facebook right now, so hopefully it hangs in there tonight, but we'll give her a shot next week and see how different things may or may not be with fiber. Brandon's on with us. Cameron's on YouTube. Glad you guys made it. Still getting my normal error messages on Facebook, but hopefully he'll cooperate at least somewhat. But anyway, BW's Garage is on with us. Nothing popping up on Facebook yet, so I hope you guys are there. Big Job's here. Hot Rod Shop's here. Kevin's on. Lee from New York's on. Scott's back on Facebook. Haven't seen Scott in a while. Glad you made it tonight, Scott. Even got a little bit of Mustang stuff to talk about tonight, as a matter of fact, so glad you made it. Chris is on YouTube. So Tim's made it on YouTube as well. Eloy's on with us. A lot of familiar names popping up. Glad you guys made it back. Facebook's getting Scott, Jerry, Joe. Glad you guys are all here as well. So hopefully Facebook will at least somewhat hang in there tonight. And like I said, can't wait shot next week and see if the fiber makes any difference on the feed on Facebook. So Alan, North Carolina's on with us. Dawn from Nashville on Facebook. So good crowd on right away. Glad all you guys made it tonight. Glad you guys took some time out of your evening to hang out with us. Don't have an extremely in-depth show built tonight, but we've got some cool stuff to talk about as always. Super cool badge, magazine, raffle, all the good stuff. And always, as always, whatever you guys have going on too, questions, comments, be sure to throw them up there. Sometimes I may not have all the answers, but sometimes some of our other viewers do help us out with that. So, it's always great as well, because that's what part of this chat is. That's why we've got such a great group on here that, all hang out together. Glenn from Minnesota's on. Glad you're here. One of our regulars. Tim's on with us on YouTube. He's in Facebook jail again. So, but at least YouTube seems to be hanging in there a little better than Facebook has. So I'm glad you're on there. Mark from Syracuse, Pickers episode. Glad you caught that. That truck we actually haven't done anything with. I literally backed that truck in my shop exactly as we bought it. Her Ford, we had Auto Artistry do some work on the Ford, and it is put together, but it's kind of on the back burner right now, but the Ford is together. I do have some videos on YouTube on the Ford cab over, the Chevy cab over that we bought on American Pickers. Haven't done anything with that at all. So Bill's on with us. Kevin's here. 1967 Tempest is here. Scott already switched over to YouTube, so that tells me that Facebook probably isn't working that great if you're on with us on YouTube. So number one, he's on. Number one made it tonight as well. So a lot of regulars here, which is great, because that's what makes this chat fun. We've got such an awesome group that hangs out here, shares your knowledge as well as mine, and that's why it works, and that's why it's enjoyable for everybody, I hope. So anyway, let's see. Terry's on with us. Glad you made it. Kim's on. Roddy from Colorado's here. So lots jumping on Facebook, or on YouTube, excuse me. Facebook must not have a solid feed again, because it's still giving me error messages and the comments are not as quick over there. So, but anyway, lots of things happening. Like I said, I didn't build a real in-depth show tonight. We've had so much participation that it's some of the topics I've backed off a little bit because we were dragging on so long because of the group participation. Jason, any Imperials or Chevy Impala wagons? That's a pretty broad topic. You'll have to give me a shout and get into some more detail on that. Mark, 70 Nova SS parts. There again, just depends on what you need. I've only got 170 Nova, but I do have some stuff. Just depends on what you need. So anyway, Joe just says Facebook sucks. That's why it's not working. But that could be true. I don't know. The YouTube feed seems to be working great. We'll see how things go once the fiber is hooked up. Like I said, hopefully tomorrow. They are scheduled to do my fiber at 3:00 tomorrow. Like I said, it is literally right behind us right now on the outside wall of the shop. And actually, I'm going to run it into both shops. I've got two shops there right beside each other. They came up right between them, and I'm shooting fiber into both buildings. So once we get internet over there, maybe we'll do some stuff from the other shop as well. So anyway, we'll see how it works. We'll see what happens. So anyway, Rusty Nails got any LRE? I'm not sure where they're at there. So yeah, Kevin, it is good news. Like I said, I'm just looking forward to it. I'm hoping it helps the feed. So Scott says no issues on his phone, but it pauses on his iPad. And it's been doing that for weeks. And we've had this issue for several months now. So maybe it's certain formats too. But David W is on with us. Rusty Nails, Little Red Express. I don't have any Little Red Express Dodge trucks at all, no. But anyway, everything has been shipped as far as the winters are concerned. The promo models have been shipped. All the cans have been shipped. So if you were waiting on anything from me, I got all that stuff finalized and wrapped up. So everything other than tonight's winter has been shipped. So if there's anything you're waiting on from me, it is on the way at this point. I had a few things hanging that I got wrapped up this week. So anybody that's been waiting, you should be seeing that stuff soon. Got another package from our friend in Canada this week. Send us some more cool stuff that we'll be checking. We'll be working into some Toy Tuesdays as well. So that will be coming up soon too. So anyway, of course, we got a badge for tonight. We got a magazine for tonight. And actually the magazine tonight, there's one section we're going to get to that actually kind of caught me off guard, kind of surprised me on something even local to me that I didn't know a thing about and never even heard a word about. So kind of excited about that. And we'll go ahead and get rolling. We got a lot of comments popping up. I'm trying to keep up with comments. And some of these comments I'm missing. We've got a lot of viewers that are chatting amongst themselves on here. So I'm trying to keep track of people saying hi to each other, which is great, and trying to keep up with comments that need to be addressed. So if I missed your comment, that's probably what happened. There was so much other chatter going on that I missed some of it because that's happening. So I'm trying to sort through some of that stuff right now. Tim from Canada, do I have a Fulton visor for a 53 Chevy pickup? I do not have any Fultons at all right now. I've got 5 outside visors in stock, but none of them are Fultons. Ambassador, Meteor, actually Javelin, Hornet, and then Gremlin is at the bottom. So that's what it is, number one. Ambassador, Matador, Javelin. Then we've got Hornet and Gremlin, which you can't see because it goes too far down. The cameras don't quite, unless I can tip it. See if I can tip it. There we can see Gremlin. But that's the whole sign. But that's what they all were. Great piece, light up AMC sign. I believe this hung in a showroom window. This side is lighted. The other side says the exact same thing, but it is not lighted. So I would assume this would have hung like up in the front window. So this would have lit up to catch traffic on the street, and the backside you still would see in the showroom. So great piece. I'm super excited about it. I got it at Mecum a couple years ago at Indy out of the Giuliano collection. So it's a super cool piece. It's about, 4 foot tall and 2.5 foot wide, but definitely a great piece. So let's see what else we popping up here. Eric, do I sell any oil cans or gas pumps? Some. I've got 3 or 4 pumps I would sell, and I do sell duplicates on my cans. So some of it I do. I've got, my really rare stuff that's in my personal collection. No, but I do sell some of that stuff. So yeah. 61 to 67 Econoline tailgate. Don't have anything there. Don't have any idea. That's right, Brandon. They're kind of some orphans. So Kevin likes the sign. David, what year was the sign? I'm going to guess early 70s. It's got Gremlin on it, obviously 70 or newer. So I'm going to say it's probably 70, 71, 72 is what I'm saying. Is it metal? It is a metal housing with a plastic front. This is plastic. It's got one little crack down here in the corner that we can't see, but the frame is metal, and the back side where it has the same thing on the back is also metal. So that's it's kind of what it amounts to. Like I said, I think that's why it hung in a showroom window. So the one side was lighted to catch street traffic, and the other side you still saw while in the showroom, and still looked cool with the names on it. So anyway, let's check out a new badge tonight. Who's up for a badge? And this is like I said, I showed you that whole big box of badges that we just found. Believe it or not, that whole flat that I had last week, just found it in the office, stuff full of stuff. Big Job's bought some more 92 to 95 Broncos. He's got 8 of them now. Nothing wrong with that. That's pretty good property. But the big box of badges that we had last week that I showed you, I picked another one out of those to check out this week, and really excited about. It's a beautiful piece, and I got a little bit of information to go with it as well. This is the one we're going to check out tonight. It's a Cadillac crest. Beautiful piece. I think this is late 40s is what I'm thinking. Great colors on this one. It is enamel inlay on this one. It's got a little bit of a dent right up here on the top. That's not very noticeable. If you look across the back, you can see it's just slightly off over on this corner. But a beautiful piece. I don't know if it's new old stock. The back of it is awfully clean, but I mean, that doesn't mean it just, didn't get pulled off early in life either. I never had a package for it or anything. A lot of you guys like it too. Like Old School likes it. Brandon likes it. Number 1, 6 Duck Caddy Crest. That's right. But it is a beautiful piece. I mean, just amazing colors, and just really, I mean, I was working on stuff last night. Kevin likes it, and it does have great color. As I was working on stuff last night, when I decided to do this, I actually left it lay on the desk all night just so I could stare at it while I was getting things ready and working up my notes for tonight, because it's such a great piece. So, but I did, went ahead and Googled it, and I read it before, but I thought we would all talk about it again. What's this all stand for? The crown across the top, which was, more pronounced on different variations of the Cadillac badge. Obviously, there's been multiple variations of this badge over the years. But the crown actually stood for the 6 ancient counts of France, with pearls being descendancy from the royal counts of Toulouse or something like that. I don't know. Terry likes it. Yeah, I'm glad you do. I'm glad all you guys do, because obviously it's a beautiful piece. I'm a huge fan of it. The merlets, commonly known as the ducks, in the 2 blocks over here. These birds appear in trios, 3 here, 3 here, to symbolize the Holy Trinity, with 3 on one side representing the nobility of the mother's lineage and the other representing the father's noble lineage. The use of the birds comes from the time of the Crusades. So, Ben digs it. Old School says too much info. Well, I thought we would just break it down a little bit, because there is a lot of information behind a lot of these badges, and they had a reason for them originally. So, that's what the ducks were called, merlets, and they stood 3 for the father's lineage and 3 for the mother, 3 for the father, for their noble lineage, and it comes from the time of the Crusades. So that goes back quite a ways. The colored stripes, we've got the black. The black is superiority. The gold was for riches, silver for virtue, and blue for valor. And I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but these little small ones in here are actually blue for valor. The black stripe itself is indicative of an award for Crusader service. And then the last piece of the Cadillac wreath or Cadillac badge was the ones when they had the wreath that went around them, which this actually doesn't have the wreaths. The wreath was typically a separate piece. And this era probably actually used a V under this. So But the wreath was a symbol of aristocracy and victory when they used the wreath with it. So, kind of a brief synopsis of of what all this stuff means about what this actual badge was designed for, what all the pieces of it meant. But it's just such a great piece. Nate likes it. Nate has owned a couple old cool Cadillacs, but never knew what the ducks meant. Kevin, one of the best badges, symbols around, in his opinion. And you're right, it is very classy. That's what, and that's why I chose it. And obviously, this one's in magnificent condition for its age, but just great looking piece. Like I said, the chrome is great. Mike on Facebook, lots of thought went into that badge for the selling point of the specific type of customer targeted. And that's another thing, Mike. Exactly. You're 100% right with that statement. When you talk about Cadillac, I mean, their motto at that time was the standard of the world. The badge stood for, like I said, it stood for the aristocracy. It talked about nobility, the lineage, the Crusades, the history. So you're right. When you're talking about the standard of the world at that point, you have to have a badge to back that up. So you're 100% correct with that statement, Mike. Lee said he never knew the meaning. Alan NC, badge breakdown. That's right. It's kind of what it is. But that's the whole point of doing this. It's fun. We're here to learn something. That's one thing I always got to do. Everything I do, I got to be learning something. I always have to learn something. When I do watch TV, which is usually for about 15 minutes while I'm eating dinner, I got to be learning something. I watch something on the History Channel, or I'll watch Shark Tank, or I'll watch, something on CNBC, or, so like I said, something on history, something on American Heroes Channel, because I always want to learn something. Even like I said, the very little time I do spend watching TV, I still want to be learning something. So, Old School says he learns a lot, but then he forgets it. So, and I know the feeling there too. Eloy's got a 56 Cadillac, which are great cars. This would have been a little earlier than that one, I believe. Big Job had a 72-door coupe for a driver. And like Nate said, he had a couple. We just sold one of his at the auction this year at the F&E Collector Auto Auction. By the way, Nate, I've got your tag off that car as well. I did save your plate. I don't know if you need it back, but I did take that off before that car shipped. So I've got it here at my shop. So, but anyway, obviously a lot of everybody dug the badge tonight. Everybody thought it was cool, and it is a great piece. Like I said, I literally just left it laying right here on the desk last night as I worked up tonight's notes because it was just such a magnificent piece. So glad you guys enjoyed it. So Jim says, thanks for the info. Cool piece. We'll check her out one more time. Like I said, bright chrome. Like I said, I don't know if it's new old stock, but the back is awfully clean. So number one, was there really any difference between the 500 and the 472? Not that I know of, but I've never really messed with either one of them a lot. I think they were both very, very similar engines, but and I don't know. It's there again. Did they make it 500 just to say it was 500? Because I would have thought you could have gotten that from the 472. So that's kind of what that. But there again, that kind of goes along with statement piece, standard of the world. If we're going to be the biggest and the baddest, we got to have the biggest engine. So I'm wondering if there may be some truth to that. Number one, as it was essentially the same thing. They may have just bored it a little bit or stroked it a little bit to make it 500, just to call it 500. So. So yeah, that's Nate. That's fine, Nate. Whenever I've got it here, so we can get that tag back to you. Whatever works for you. Whenever we get together or see each other again. So, but anyway, that's it for the badge tonight. We're having so much fun with badges. Scott says it's really a 501. So that they probably so that means they probably did just board or stroke it a little bit, and it came out to a 501. So they called it a 500. So. But that's what I'm kind of guessing probably happened. But we're having so much fun with badges. Maybe we have to do 2 of them next week. Obviously, you guys really seem to like the badge stuff. We usually get great response to it, so maybe we'll start working in 2. I don't think we could get many more than 2 done, but maybe we'll start working in some different stuff with that as well, based on the response that we're getting on it. So, anyway, got a cool magazine for tonight. Going to back it up a little bit. We've done some 70s stuff the last couple weeks. We're going to back it up a little bit back into the 50s. And back to a title that I'm not very familiar with. Brandon says 500 and 501 difference was carbs and commercial chassis. So the 501 probably went in the commercial chassis. I'm assuming. Hot Rod Shop says badges. We don't need no stinking badges. So, well, maybe we'll do badges on here so we learn something. But anyway, like I said, it's fun. The badges are such an amazing piece. I have literally hundreds of them. I've saved them ever since I was a little kid. So, I mean, I've got an extremely extensive collection of them. And a lot of neat stuff, a lot of stuff people probably haven't even heard of before. So to me, I love them. And like we've just got done discussing, they were a statement piece. A lot of them, were iconic to the vehicle and actually said something about the vehicle. Joe says, don't forget some World War II aircraft stuff. Yeah, we need to work some of that stuff in as well too, Joe. Because I've got a lot of that and it's super cool too. Old school little kid, now an older big kid. That's pretty much about right. I haven't gotten any smarter, I don't think. So I still play with a lot of junk. So I don't think I know that I'm gotten that much brighter, but I do have an extensive collection of badges, and I do because I love them and they're so cool and I have fun with them. And like I said, how can you not sit that on your desk and not stare at it and think that's cool? So of course, that's why I got all these signs and gas pumps and toys and cars and all this other stuff too. But that's beside the point, right? But tonight's magazine, it's a different title. It's a title that I'm not very familiar with. Rusty Nails, his daughter collects them. Yep, so does mine. That's how we've gotten so big into them, and she loves them as well. So that's right, old school. It is in my DNA. That's about what it amounts to. I don't think I could change it if I tried to. Scott has a 73 Eldorado, used to freak people out doing front wheel burnouts. I would imagine so. Because that was a big old car to be doing front wheel burnouts with. But like I said, like we were talking about, tonight's magazine, a different title, something we're not familiar with. But we're going to back up into the 50s. We're going to go back to a different time period than what we've been looking at with some of this 70s stuff. William, there's nothing wrong with playing with junk because one man's junk's another man's treasure. That's right. Mo's calls on with us from Pennsylvania. Glad you're here. But we're going to look at a copy of Speed Mechanics. Title I'm not very familiar with, but you got to remember back in the late 50s, as hot rodding culture was taking off, there were a lot of magazines. There were a lot of small magazines, small titles. And this isn't a very thick issue, only about 50 pages total. So that's front and back. So it's about 25 pages. Some of these magazines we look at are 80, 90. Some of the popular mechanics are a couple of hundred. So this is a smaller magazine, not quite as much material in it. But obviously, when we're here to check out old car stuff, it's chock full of cool stuff that we love. But some great stuff in it, and let's check it out. And if you're on Facebook, if you want to throw a share out there, let your friends know that we're here. They can jump on with the same thing on YouTube. If you got some friends you think might enjoy, let them know that we're on and we're going. If they want to jump on with us, as always, appreciate the super chats. Those are awesome when you guys throw those out as well. But let your friends know that we're on and we're going if they want to jump on with us. But anyway, this issue of Speed Mechanics from January of 1958. They called it the Step-by-Step Do-It-Yourself magazine. And like I said, this is a title that I'm not very familiar with. I don't know that I've ever seen it before than what I've just dug this off the shelf. I don't know what you guys may or may not know about it, but that's where it says the Step-by-Step Do-It-Yourself magazine, Speed Mechanics of January 1958. And once again, even though this is not as thick of an issue as what we're familiar with dealing with, basically we can look at every single page and every single ad in this magazine for the next 3 hours, and we're going to think it's all cool. But, that happens sometimes when we get into this. But this one's really great. Lots of color on the cover. Obviously not so much inside as we typically find back with these magazines. Eloy digs it. Yeah. And it's cool. Like I said, it's different, something I don't know much about. Not familiar with this title at all, but we're all going to get familiar with it. We're all going to learn something. We're going to check out some cool stuff. So we'll go ahead and get her popped open here. And jump up here a couple of pages. 2, we'll start off with the World Series of Drags, Drag Strip Olympics, the 4th annual ATAA event, a success on fuel and gas. A lot of great pictures. It's all black and white, but a lot of great, great cars here. I'm going to hold them up. We'll check them out for a few seconds, and then I will go. David W. Ramblers weren't fast then. That's true. But some great stuff here. I'll try to point out some of these. Garlets right here in the middle. I don't know if there's any other big names in this one, but you got to remember this is 1958. Actually, January of 58. So, Garlits is running a Chrysler. Ciro Pastuin is running a Chrysler, is running a Hemi. A lot of these are running Hemis, you can tell in the pictures, which there again, the Chrysler Hemi had only come out in 51. And this is January of 58. Now, it says Garlits is actually running a 57 Chrysler, so that means he's already got a 92 in that car. Some of these other ones were still some of them were probably running 54. Some of them may even still be in 31s. When they came out in 51, the Chrysler Hemi was a 331. They used the 331 up to 55. However, there was a difference in 55. 51 to 54 uses an extended bell housing that is made into the block. 55, I believe, is the only 331 with a standard type block. Now, in 56, they went to the 354, and then obviously they went to the ultimate in 57 to 58 with the 392. But, a lot of these cars back, in January of 58, that means these cars were all running. This all happened in late 57. So if you had a 57 Chrysler engine already, you were definitely one of the players at that point to already have a completely new engine. I would imagine some of these other ones were, 354s or 331s. But just great pictures, great shots of these cars. And there's tons of cool pictures in here. So I'll kind of try to keep these things up for a little bit so you guys can check them out. And then we're going to go ahead and flip the page to some more awesome drag cars. I got to be careful trying to hold these things up. The cover on this magazine is loose as well as we've run into on some of these other magazines from the 50s. The Sooners host champ drags. New champion is crowned at the NHRA all-gas meet held in Oklahoma City. So some super cool pictures here as well. Wally Parks presents the best crew trophy. So a lot of cool stuff here. Half hidden by the trophies he won, Bud Sampson wonders how he'll get all the national championship trophies home. Stands higher than the top eliminator. Car turned to 1042 for the win. Starter Troutman gives the signal for Art Arfon's record 152.54 mile an hour run of the Green Monster on the final day of the meet. Monster overshot the end of the strip, flipped twice when the brakes failed. So, wow, pretty amazing. Let's see, a couple comments popping up, then we'll get into some more of this. John's on with us on Facebook. Glad you're here, Tim. Can we get a picture of the AMC sign? I believe I have the same one, only broken. When I bought my house for my grandmother in 2005, we found the sign lining the shelves in the basement. We don't know if it was broken intentionally or for the shelves. His grandfather was involved in the AMC dealership in the early 60s or 70s. I can post that on Facebook. I can get a better picture of it when we get done and throw that up on Facebook. I don't know if I'll get to it tonight, but sometime in the next day or two, Tim, keep an eye out. And same thing with you guys on YouTube. If you want to get a better look at the sign, I'll get some good pictures of it before I take it back over and put it back away in the other shop. So you bet, Tim, we can try to get that done as well. So, Jim, that's why he was Big Daddy. That's right, because he was stepping up in the world and had already had a new Hemi. Kevin digs the pictures. William, I think there was one on building your own dune buggy, if I'm not mistaken. You could have bought a kit. That's right. There were a lot of kits for dune buggies on Volkswagen chassis. But anyway, it was kind of interesting when we flipped to the Sooners host champ drags. Great pictures here as well. We'll kind of take a look at them. Like I said, I'm trying to be careful with these magazines, but great picture of the starter literally jumping up and down in the air. Here's a shot with the winner running a 1042 with this dragster. Now, we can kind of see over here with his big giant trophy, but if we look closely, that thing does not have a Hemi in it. To me, that looks like an Oldsmobile. So You guys can tell for sure, but I'm calling that one an Oldsmobile in the winner's car. Here's a shot of the Green Monster. Art Arfon's taken off of the Green Monster. Now, if you guys remember, that was Allison aircraft powered. That had a V12 Allison aircraft engine in it. So the brakes failed and they flipped that car at the end of the track right after this picture was taken. But once again, just, like I said, great pictures, great shots from back in the day. These, like I said, these should have been 1957 when these were done. Mose, I think all Hemi with fixed bell housings was 400 plus in 52 and 55. Not sure we're at on that, but I know that 51 to 55 was a 331. So, and I do know the 51 to 54 was extended bell housing. Well, I know 51, 52, and 53 was, and I think 54 was as well. Big job. Parents and friends used to play part owner of Great Lakes Dragway in Union Grove, Wisconsin. They're in the mid-60s watching Garrett's and Nicholson Little Red Wagon every week. Number one says brakes. That's for Andy. That's right. Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm strapping myself to a 4 wheels, a couple frame rails, and a V12 Allison aircraft engine. I'm going to vote for brakes, but hey, that's just me, because that's literally about all this thing was a chassis, 4 tires and wheels, and a ginormous Allison aircraft engine. So, but anyway, like I said, just great shots of this stuff. Absolutely amazing. And after we get through the drag racing section, we're going to get to Bonneville. Salt Shakers at Bonneville. Once again, black and white pictures, but just great stuff. And that's what there again, the crazy part about it is we look at some of these pictures and there's still some stuff, that we see at Bonneville today that looks similar to this stuff. Articles called Salt Shakers at Bonneville. Like I said, great pictures. I'll try to keep it up here for a little bit for you guys to kind of get a view of some of these pictures, because they are really great, of these streamliners. It's kind of tough to see them all here. We can see this one over here is packing a Hemi. But like I said, obviously Bonneville, if this was all from Speed Week, these would have been August or September. I can't remember. I think Bonneville's at the end of August. Yeah, I think Bonneville's at the end of August. I went, but it's been 10 years ago since I've been there. But there again, just, taking a step back in time, checking out what was going on back then. And we look at the pictures of a lot of the streamliners today, and we still see stuff fairly similar to some of the stuff out there. Obviously, tons of different technology and things like that. But it all boils down to the same thing. How fast can you go? Eloy says that's pretty cool. He was at Bonneville about 2 months ago. So more shots of Bonneville. And there's one really great one here. The Class E record setter shown at the right and above is powered by a 331 Chrysler with a GMC blower. And what's super cool about it is that 331 Chrysler with a GMC blower is all stuffed into that tanker. So belly tankers, awesome to see those as race cars. Obviously another shot of a Hemi. So a lot of super cool stuff here. But that took care of a lot of the racing coverage in this issue. Gail's on from Des Moines. He's in Facebook jail again, but that's all right. You're on with us on YouTube, and that's all that matters is you made it. So, another interesting article in this issue, and you got to remember this is January 58. So what we're talking about here in this issue is what was going on in the world in late 57, September, October, November, 1957. So, and this article, and there again, that's why we have to put some of this stuff into perspective, because this next article of souping up the Chevy and Pontiac V8s was a pretty big deal at the time. But you've got to remember that those engines were only 2 years old. You think about the small block Chevy didn't come out till 55. This was written, say, October of 57. That engine had been on the market for 2.5 years. You couldn't hardly get your hands on a used one at that point. Same thing with the Pontiac V8. Pontiac was a flathead inline 8 up through 54 until it got its V8 in 55. So number one, there was a tank in the local classifieds this summer for $1,000 Canadian, and he didn't go buy it. So he's still kicking himself. Yeah, I would imagine so. But there again, souping up a Chevy and a Pontiac V8 at this point, there were just, 2.5 years out of the market, just starting to be somewhat available, probably not extremely available, but somewhat available in the market for hot rodders. So this was a pretty big deal. And it has some great stuff here, including it shows a picture, and I'm going to try to show you this picture of, and I had to study this a second to see what it was, an experimental Latham axial flow supercharger set up for a 57 Corvette with bosses provided to mount fuel injection if desired. 4 Carter side drafts are used here. The boost is 6 to 8 pounds at 6 p.m. So I don't know how well you guys are able to see this thing, but that is some pretty amazing technology for 1957. So that was a pretty big deal. And it also has, then, of course, it talks about some internal stuff. It talks about, multiple carburation for both engines. So even though we look at this today and say, 265, 283 Chevy, 317 Pontiac, 347 Pontiac, not exactly what a lot of us think of today as high performance engines. However, in 1957, pretty big deal. Now, the next car, this actually is a car article, but it is tied to the Chevy Pontiac V8 article. It's kind of an extension of it. It still says swapping the Chevy Pontiac V8s across the top. So it is there again using these new V8 engines for performance engines. This one is actually called the Wichita Drag Wagon. So obviously seeing Wichita, because I'm about 100 miles northwest of Wichita, it actually kind of caught my eye. And it is a Pontiac-powered front-engine dragster. GM's, that's why they had this car featured. And you can't really get a good look at the engine right here, but you can see that it definitely, it's not a Chevy. It does look like a Pontiac engine. And that's why you see across the top swapping the Chevy and Pontiac V8s. That's why it was part of this article. So I'm sitting there flipping through this, and then something caught my eye that just almost blew me away. Darren's here. Glad you made it. And I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try to get up here close where it's got a good shot of the car. And if we look real close, I hope you guys can make this out. It says Kotwitz Motor Company. And then right below it, behind the wheel, you can see the 2 letters GR. Now, I'm sure that doesn't mean anything to any of you guys. To me, it does, because that GR that kind of you can see kind of sticking out behind the rear wheel is Great Bend, Kansas. Kotwitz Motor Company was the Pontiac dealer right here in Great Bend, Kansas. My dad actually worked there starting in, I think, 1970. That was his first job on the line as a mechanic, was at Kotwitz Motor Company, the Pontiac dealer. So I couldn't believe it. I sent him a picture of it right away because it really caught me off guard. He had never heard anything about it. He does still know a couple members of the family. He is going to make some calls this week and try to get a hold of some of them to see if any of them have any recollection of this car, remember anything about it, have any other pictures of it. But I was flabbergasted when I saw that, to see Kotwitz Motor Company. And then obviously it just says GR, but I know it has to say Great Bend on it because that's where Kotwitz Motor Company was at. It was a Pontiac dealer. We're 100 miles from Wichita, which is where this car was based out of. So really, really shocked to see that. And almost, like I said, really caught me off guard. So that's right, Darren. It would be cool if that car still exists. I mean, I don't know, but you never know. Tell Big Job, Old School says to tell Big Job PayPal him later so you can pay him, or email him later so you can pay him. So, but that's why this thing just, like I said, there was a surprise in this magazine for me. And I couldn't believe that when literally that thing said Kotwitz Motor Company on it, knowing that Dad had, well, it's not at this point, but in 1970, 71, I think maybe into 72. But to see that on there, I mean, obviously it was a Pontiac powered drag, so it was cool. I always like Pontiacs. Everything I've always raced pretty much has been Pontiacs. To see that just really shocked me, caught me off guard, and you know, and it'd be super cool if there is anything else on it. But he did say that when the family moved out of Great Bend, you know, said, you know, decades ago, a lot of that stuff did get thrown. So, you know, any other documentation or recollection or pictures or everything, it's probably pretty far-fetched that there's going to be anything left. But he's going to make some calls just out of curiosity, just on the long shot that maybe there is something else still out there about that car, a little more information. So it would, you know, be super cool if there is. But big surprise for me. I'm just sitting here flipping through the magazine, trying to work up cool stuff for you guys, and had that pop up on me. So this magazine kind of covered a lot of things. Actually, we've obviously saw a lot of drag cars. We've saw some Bonneville cars. This article is called "Engineering for the Oval: Rapid Cornering for Track Wins Needs the Right Chassis Suspension and Pulling Power." These were actually old dirt cars, and it's kind of amazing when you see just in what we can see in these pictures, with one, the cars themselves, and two, the things they were trying to do to make power and make these cars handle. But there again, a really broad subject. We've got a Chrysler Hemi all the way over to a 292 GMC inline six. It shows how they were positioning engines in these cars for better weight balance to try to get these things around. You got, you know, you see these old bodies from the 30s, you know, because in 1957, these cars from the 30s, the coupes that, you know, are cherished today, they were cheap, they were plentiful, they were hacked up for dirt cars. And that's what, you know, you can't even think about how many of those old 30s Ford coupes got chopped up into dirt cars. And you can see, you know, they're, you know, setting the V8 back, setting up the 292 Jimmy, all kinds of different, but there again, working with what they had. V8's not extremely plentiful. They could make a 292 GMC spin pretty tight and get good power out of them for a dirt track. So they were working with what they had. They were experimenting with what they had. And you got to remember, there wasn't Summit or Jegs or Speedway back in the day where you just picked up the catalog and ordered it. You had to figure it out. You had to figure out what you needed. You may have had to have your own cam ground, but that's what those guys did. And that's where all this experimentation came from. And that's why it's so great to look back, check out these pictures, and see what was really happening at that point in time. And now we move on to another car. And like I said, it's kind of, once again, covering all different aspects. Like I said, this is not a big magazine in this issue of Speed Mechanics. However, they snuck a lot of material in, even customs. The Aztec, custom with class. The Aztec, a 49 Plymouth Custom, sports brown and white cotton and nylon blend fabric for passenger space with beautifully done upholstery. Front fenders are hand-formed. Tail fins are Section 53 Oldsmobile units. So there again, dirt track cars, Bonneville cars, drag cars, and even customs. So this magazine, obviously, like we've discussed, this was obviously a smaller title, you know, never really took off. We don't see it on the shelf anymore, obviously. Don't ever really remember seeing many issues of this period like it went well on into the 60s, even though it really looks like they tried to cover a lot of their bases with a lot of different readers. But super cool Plymouth. And you think about today, a 49 Plymouth, building the custom out of it. Yeah, that's one thing, but you got to remember that was an 8-year-old car at this point. So this would be like, you know, stepping back a couple of years with a 2012, 2013 car and customizing it and making it your own. So not something we really think about today, but that's what happened back then. Now we're gonna shift topics again. Like I said, they tried to cover a little bit of everything in this one. Motor City Mirror, the new cars for 1958. So once again, another topic: drag racing, Bonneville, dirt cars, customs, and the new cars for 1958. Starting off with the Impala. The 58 parade begins with styling suspensions, new engines, and top features. Once again, all black and white, but a lot of great pictures of the new cars coming out. Obviously, the profile of the Impala as the title car with the new roof line, the new tail on the 58 Impala. Very pretty car, and that's what they used to lead off with. And I believe there's some more new. Yes, actually, the Motor City Mirror continued, and here's where we get into engines and suspensions and things like that, including some new technology that never really took off at that time, fairly common in today's marketplace, but the air ride suspension that was available in 1958 on Chevrolet, Buick, Olds, and Cadillac. And I've even actually got a 58 Chevrolet, an original 58 Chevrolet level air emblem. I should have grabbed that for tonight, but I didn't think about it till just now. But yes, they actually had air ride suspension in 58. Not very dependable, never really took off, and the majority of them were replaced with springs fairly early in life. However, remember, this is January of 58. It's still new. It's still exciting. And it does give a little bit of breakdown on it. We'll try to get this turned to where you guys can see some of this stuff. But it talked about, there's several different things on this page. Right, how some of the air suspension was set up, where the bags were at in each corner. Here it shows the X-frame design that was commonplace in GM in this era. And up here, we've got the little Rambler with the unibody construction. So once again, you know, technology that a lot of people didn't understand yet. Yes, there were some cars that had it in the 50s, but still fairly new and not extremely commonplace technology for that point in time. Also in the Motor City Mirror, engines. Lots of different engine things that they talked about, including the 430 Mercury Super Marauder, the obviously Chevy new turbo thrust 348. We see the 348 up here. We see a great picture of the Mercury with the fin valve covers. 58 Pontiac engine compartment. Allen NC air ride bags are what killed the GM Aero train. So that's some cool stuff there. Yeah. Big job. X-frame wasn't popular for convertibles too. Yeah. And that's it for the new car stuff. The rest of this magazine actually were pretty much the follow-up or the ending pieces of the articles that we just looked at as they fed back through the magazine. So, like I said, not an extremely thick magazine at all, but they tried to cram everything they could into it. Once again, we got a lot of cool ads to check out, and even a couple of classifieds. But was popular for convertibles. Okay, that's why kind of had me lost there for a second. Big job. But as we flip to the inside cover of this magazine, we see, of course, what we've seen in every magazine, in any and every car magazine of this era, your J.C. Whitney ad. This was the catalog ad to order your J.C. Whitney 228-page catalog. And then on the other side, inside the magazine, was a spark plug ad. Now, the spark plug ad caught my eye because it was pretty amazing if you ask it. New spark plug invention. Self-cleaning 21-point nickel cadmium spark plug. Tests prove this, that if you went with these new spark plugs from the Car Parts Corporation, yes, folks, that's exactly who made it, the Car Parts Corporation. The new spark plug invention, self-cleaning 21-point nickel cadmium spark plug, will give you, whoa, come back here, a 10 horsepower gain, 9 mile per hour greater speed, and 15% fuel improvement, fuel savings. Tests prove that. It says so. So pretty amazing stuff. I don't know how much truth in marketing they had to have back then, but those are pretty amazing plugs. And we see down here at the bottom, literally, it was the Car Parts Corporation is who had this ad for these amazing spark plugs. Sam made it. Glad you're here. That's right. Big job. Who didn't have a J.C. Whitney catalog back then? Speaking of which, we're going to go back a few pages here. After we had to skip past the articles. They did not have a lot of ads in the middle of the articles. But only did J.C. Whitney have the inside front cover. They've got 4 pages in here. So we're going to check them out. We're going to point out a few cool things that they had listed. Continental kits. You could buy an entire Continental kit for 49 to 57 Chevy, 49 to 57 Ford, 57 Thunderbird, 52 to 57 Mercury, 55 to 57 Plymouth, or 56, 57 Studebaker. They were $49.95 for a kit. So that's right, number one. Tests were different back then. Doctors prescribed cigarettes for pregnant women, so testing was a little different. That's 200% correct. Testing was definitely different back then. Brandon, snake oil elixir guaranteed to cure your ailments. I think that's about what those spark plugs were. They were supposed to cure anything that was wrong with your car. But man, J.C. Whitney had a ton of stuff in this issue. Custom grill bars, Italian bus horn. Yep. You could order the musical Italian bus horn for $6.95. Wolf whistles, exhaust extensions, terrific giant dice, mud and snow tires, twin air cleaners, flame decals, taillight kits, hood scoops. Just an amazing assortment. Cals, taillight kits, hood scoops. Just an amazing assortment. We'll just hold. You guys can check it out. Maybe catch a few of your important things that you dig. Big job. Car Parts Inc. 30 years ago in Georgia was Napa. Okay. So, like I said, just J.C. Whitney really hit this issue hard, and a ton of cool stuff in here. Randy, sorry late, but made it. Picked up another VW buggy today. Oh, Randy got an original Meyer Manx today. Those are pretty cool. Don't see a lot of those anymore. Number one says he needs some winter tires. Well, let's check them out and see. They're up here. Here's the winter tires right up in here. Recapped mud and snow tires, black walls or white walls with new Suburban tread design guaranteed for 18 months. If you were stepping up to white walls, 7-inch wide, 15-inch wheel were $15.95 a piece. So, but right there's all your tire sizes and your prices, whether you went black wall or white wall. Sam, what's the oldest dash mount hula girl I've ever come across? Never really come across a lot of them. I don't know when they started using them, but they've been around forever. Randy says J.C. Whitney brings back memories. Alan in North Carolina has a gigantic dice in his 69 Beaumont station wagon. Yep, there they are right there. Gigantic dice, $1.49. And we'll flip again to catch another page of J.C. Whitney. Like I said, J.C. Whitney went heavy in this issue. 2 more full pages. Let's check out a few of the awesome accessories you could get. You can order hubcap spinners for $3.95 a piece. Electronic speed alarm. Cadillac type front bumper bullets for your 57 Chevy. Air Ram atmospheric supercharger. That's right. Increases horsepower as much as 10%, increases gas mileage, eliminates stalling and overheating, prevents engine knock and ping, modern high-power engines, and low hood streamlining. Basically, it is an air cleaner kit that has a snorkel that you stick up somewhere behind your grill or something. $11.95. Air ram atmosphere supercharger. So I think that's about what it amounted to. Is it was just a scoop you stuck up there somewhere, but atmospheric supercharger sounds way better than fresh air intake. So Darren, I remember the big horse hood ornament my father had on the hood of a 69 Ford truck that came from J.C. Whitney. So what else did they have? You could order race car ornaments that look like Indy 500 cars. Holy cow. I seen something and I'm going to have to pull these off and show them to you. I bought a 47 Ford Coupe and I was taking some parts off of it yesterday. Seen these. I literally just saw set. It has them on the wiper arms. Wiper tension aids. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, if you can even see it right here. They're little tension arms that go on top of the wiper arms and hold extra pressure on to the wiper arms. If I'd have known this was in the ad, I'd have pulled them off so we could check them out. I may have to do that for next week. But yeah, I actually have picked up a 47 Ford Coupe that actually has these wiper tension arms on there. Mike on Facebook reminds me of the tornado for improved performance and gas mileage in the 80s. Yeah, I do kind of remember something about that. It was like supposed to funnel the air in more efficiently or something like that. But, of course, you could order club plaques, cruising throttle, which is basically a throttle lock for cruise control. Old school 90s Hondas had those wiper extension winglets as an accessory. So I'll have to pull those off. I didn't even realize that was it. I just flipped through these last night, but that was super cool. But we'll hold these couple of pages up for a minute or so. Let you guys check this stuff out as well. But like I said, obviously back in that day, J.C. Whitney was the place to order your accessories from, and that's what they did. There's the Indy 500 car badges you could get to stick on your car. I don't know if that made you think it was at the Indy 500 or what, but anyway, like I said, a lot of cool stuff that you could order from them. And today, most of these accessories, especially if they're new, highly sought after, highly collectible, especially if it's trim pieces. So we will flip back a couple more pages to another well-known name in the performance world, Honest Charlie's Speed Shop. A lot of us have heard of them. They had about a third of a page ad in here. They actually also had giant car dice. Well, theirs were cheaper. They were $1.25. I think J.C. Whitney's were $1.49. Heat-resistant engine and enamel paint, glass pack mufflers, 500 flags, black and chrome, pinstriping, wolf whistle. Who remembers porta-walls? Make white walls out of black walls. Best quality, $5.95 for a set of 4 porta-walls. Right there, you can order your porta-walls, but this was the Honest Charlie Speed Shop ad in this issue of the Speed Mechanics magazine. Randy, I bought a rear window defroster from J.C. Whitney back in the day. They had skirts, all kinds of stuff in here. And let's flip back a few more pages. Like I said, we could literally look at every single little tiny ad in this thing because it's all cool for what we do. But no way to do them all. They did have a small classified section. I just put it in with the ads because it was just a small, tiny one. But there was a couple cool things to point out. Brandon says you can still get porta-walls. Yeah, they did have a small classified ad section here. Didn't have any cool cars in it. But there were a couple of these ads that were so cheesy I had to read them. So wanted to show those to you. And a couple of them, you could build your own supercharger. Yep, right here in the classifieds. Build your own supercharger. Complete do-it-yourself plans and instructions. $1. Elaine Products, Box 185, Watertown, 3, Connecticut. So for $1, they would send you the plans and instructions to build your own supercharger. I'd love to see a set of those. That would be very interesting. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Plus, the Almquist Engineering Company, which we've heard of before, which we've seen some of their ads in some of these magazines from the 50s. The agents and dealers needed to handle increasing demand for Spark-O-Matic lifetime guaranteed spark plugs. So they were looking for agents to handle the Spark-O-Matic line of spark plugs. So, Thomas, how do you go about getting a shirt? Those details are in the text of this video. When we get off the live, in the text part, in the caption part, my PayPal information is on there. You can PayPal me, or my mailing address is in there. You can send me a check or money order, and I can fire one or as many as you want off to you. But all those details about getting a shirt are listed in the text part of this live. So you can check that out if we get done. If you're not sure, you can always give me a call. My number's on both formats. So, but that's how we can take care of that. So anyway, another section in this magazine that I thought was pretty cool was the Speed Merchant section. And it actually broke it down by state, and it listed shops that wanted to advertise by region in the Speed Merchants section of this magazine. And we'll just look at a couple of them here real quick. You know, obviously New York, California, you know, but it also listed Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska, Speedway Motors, serving Nebraskans with the best in speed and chrome equipment, dual mufflers, cams, heads, save money, one-day service, Lincoln, Nebraska. New Hampshire, New York, a lot of them in New York. Almost about a third of this ad is New York. So obviously, you know, a big area that at that point for speed equipment. And that's why we see a lot of New York ads, Ohio, Pennsylvania. So, but there again, anybody that wanted to buy an ad in there, you could find maybe something somewhat regional to you at that time, because you got to remember, you know, there wasn't an internet, there wasn't a Summit or a Jegs where you had a catalog laying there you could flip through and pick stuff out. And one last thing we want to check out. Roddy, anyone into cars back then had a J.C. Whitney catalog, even if you weren't old enough to drive. It was, and that's right, it was Amazon shopping cart of the day. That's true. That's for sure. But if you did want to get your own subscription to Speed Mechanics in January 1958, they had a little ad back here, 12 issues for $2.50. Give to your news dealer or mail to Speed Mechanics in New York. But here's their ad where you could actually subscribe to Speed Mechanics. So, like I said, that's kind of what we've got. Pretty cool magazine. Something a little bit different. And not a very common name that we're very familiar with, but a lot of cool stuff in it. There she is, one more time, the January issue of Speed Mechanics. So, how about some trivia? How about a raffle? How about some new inventory? Who's ready for all of that? And as always, questions, comments, be sure to throw them up there as we're working through here. Had great participation tonight. That's always a good time. We've had a pretty good group on here. That's always exciting. So, anyway, trivia for tonight. I'm going to give away another oil can, a Valvoline can that we've done some of these in the past. Big Job's ready to go. This is a cardboard can. It still has good color. It does have a little bit of wear to it. It was new. It's been drained from the bottom, so the top is still intact. It is a Valvoline All Climate, red, white, and blue with a gold stripe. So Jason is out this week. Jason won last week. So his can's on the way to him. But for the Valvoline can this week, I'll keep an eye on both formats. Scott, I've got a stash of magazines going back to 62. I go back into the early 50s on Car Magazine. I've got like some Popular Science and stuff like that back into the 30s. I kind of get them wherever, but there again, I've been gathering, just like the badges and all this other stuff. I've been gathering them my whole life, so I've got a pretty extensive collection of magazines as well, just like everything else I've got. But so I kind of get them wherever you can find them. Sometimes antique shops, auctions, things like that. So, Randy, watching, 17 likes. Hit the like button. Appreciate that. Thanks, Randy. Eloy looking for a 49 to 52 fleet line for one of his customers. I've got several, but nothing that's probably a good project if that's what you need, Eloy. Old School's got a bunch of those cans too. So anyway, trivia tonight for the Valvoline can. We watched a video from my buddy's yard the other night. That I'm super glad that he lets me do some videos in there because he's got a ton of cool stuff in there. Like I said, he's retired. He's in his 80s. If he feels like hanging out at the yard for a little bit that day, he hangs out there for a little bit. If he doesn't, he doesn't. So he's not open on a regular basis. Not hardly at all, really. Fortunately, I've got a good working relationship with him, and he lets me in and he let me do the videos. So I'm able to share some of that stuff with you because there's literally thousands of cars in there. And we've seen some neat stuff the other night. There was one Chevy Impala in there. What year was the Impala in that video? Keeping an eye on both formats for the winner tonight on that for the Valvoline can. Whoever I see first is going to be our winner on what year was that Impala as we get ready to start talking about the raffle. Nope, it's not a Lincoln Zephyr. Number one, that's not it. Got guesses rolling in, but I don't have the correct one as of yet. So I'm keeping an eye on both formats. I've got my notes here for the Al got it to 62. Alan NC is our winner tonight. So lots of their number one finally got it. Well, there was darts flying all around 62, but Al was the only one there till number one just finally got it. It was a 62 Impala 4-door hardtop. So got Al down. So I don't know if I've got your address or not. I'll double check. If not, you can give me a shout tomorrow and we'll get that can out to you. So he says he's got a good memory. So anyway, thanks for playing, everybody. Time for the raffle. BW's Garage thought the question was going to be, what was the last year the Falcon was registered? That would have been a good one. So I'm glad I didn't use it because you were trying to outthink me. So, but that would have been a good question though. But the raffle tonight, like we have been talking about this beautiful, absolutely beautiful Buddy L truck. I think mirror that's broken, but other than that, this thing is in amazing condition for a truck that's basically 60 years old. Grill guard's not even broken off on it. The grill guard is plastic as well. It's not broken. This has the sprung front suspension. Bottom even still looks beautiful on this thing. Bed hasn't even really been used. So Eloy says, thanks for a great show tonight. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Eloy. Number one says, good luck trying to guess the question. He's been saying Notre Dame football coach for a long time. And most people probably don't even remember where you're coming up with that, number one. But we did have I think we had a rock me on one of the early Pioneer Auto Show videos. So he's been, number one's been going with Notre Dame football coach ever since that video posted. So Loch Ness Fox made it. Glad you're here. Old School says he's going to win the Buddy L. Well, we'll see. It's a beautiful piece. Like I said, it even has the windows half down in it. Great Buddy L stickers on it. All of the hubcaps are there. All the original tires, original wheels, everything. great piece. So who's in at this point? Brian Winters, BW is in. Darren is in. Ronald Walensky, Big Job is in. He is in. Also got Old Schools in. And Lee Carr is in. Now I've got another one. Big Job's got a lean on it at this point. So since he paid for Old Schools, I did get another PayPal during the show last week, but it says nothing on it. It doesn't say raffle. It doesn't say parts. It doesn't say anything. So if that was you and it is for raffle, get a hold of me and let me know. I'm thinking it may have been parts because it's a fairly significant amount. If it is for the raffle, they're definitely serious about winning it. But that's why I'm almost wondering if it was for parts. But there's nothing on it. It doesn't say raffle. It doesn't say parts for this car. It doesn't say anything. So if you did PayPal me, and the reason I'm wondering if it wasn't for the raffle, because it came in during the chat. Alan NC hit me with a super chat. That's so great. I love it. Thanks, guys. I super appreciate that. The super chats mean a lot, that it actually, you guys are happy enough with what we're doing that you are willing to support it. So that's awesome. Thanks for that, Alan NC. The super chats are an amazing way to help guys like me support what we're doing and the time and effort we try to put into these videos. So glad you guys enjoy it enough to do that. Let's see. Number one, think about how popular he was at the time. They named a car after him. And that's true. That's 100% true. They literally named a car after a football coach. That's pretty popular. And that's right. There is no Cadillac Kardashian. That's for sure. So that's true. A football coach had a car named after him. So that is kind of crazy. Okay, BW says 10 was for him and 10 was for Ken. He put it in the notes on. Okay, yeah, there's no notes on here. I've got the receipt right here, unless it cut it off. It may have cut it off. But I've got them all in under your name at this point. So that's the way you are in at this point. So that may have cut off, but it doesn't on the receipt that I've got here. It isn't there. So Old School says, wow, better than Vice Grip Garage. I didn't know if Vice Grip Garage is a heck of a lot bigger than me. So I don't know if I'm bigger than they are or not. So, but like I said, I've got those all under BW's under you, Brian, on that one at this point. And I may have missed that. So Brandon actually says best show on YouTube. There's a lot of people that have a lot more followers than me. So I don't know if I don't quite know about that, but favorite Pontiac model. I've got a lot of Pontiacs and I like a lot of different Pontiacs. I've got my first old Pontiac, my 58. I've got a lot of Trans Ams. I've got a guy supposedly doing a GTO convertible for me. I haven't talked to him in a long time. I hope he's still doing it. So I've got a lot of Pontiacs. So to pick one would be awful tough to pick my favorite one because I like an awful lot of them. So anyway, if William's going to jump off, so thanks for being here, William. Old School likes Mr. Good Pliers. Yeah, Tim's very knowledgeable on this stuff as well. Let's see. But anyway, that's who I've got in on the Buddy L truck at this point. And like I said, I've got that one other PayPal. If that is somebody on here, please let me know. If not, I'm just going to have to refund it because I have no clue what it's for. Loch Ness Fox's favorite Pontiac is a 56 Star Chief. Great looking car, no doubt about that. That's right, Big Job. My followers are the coolest, that's for sure. You guys are great, and like I keep telling you, you guys are the ones that make this what it is. There's no doubt about that. But anyway, stay tuned. We're gonna give that truck away here in a couple weeks. If you are not in, if I did not read your name, other than the one mystery payment, and you think you've paid me, be sure to let me know so we can get it straightened out before the drawing here in a couple weeks. We've got a little bit of time yet. So Rusty Nail's got a buddy needs a front bumper for 74 Trans Am. I don't have anything at all on that. I've got 174 Firebird, but it's hitting the front end. Still looking for an 87 GN. I'd love to have one. I don't have a budget for one right now, but I'd love to have one. So anyway, that gets us through trivia. That gets us through the raffle. How about some new inventory? I did pick some stuff up this. Got to keep moving on that. I've got my list isn't 30 yet. I've still got over 30 vehicles that I've written checks for that I have not picked up. But I did get 3 this week. However, out of those 3, only 2 of them were on the list because I bought the third one while I went there to get the other 2. So I picked up 3, but only gained 2 off my list. It was a Ford week. The 61 Falcon 2-door that we saw in the video the other night. John, the book, a hard copy or online version. The book is just an online download, just a very basic online download. Is what the little Nobody Show book is. So that's not a hard copy deal on that. Old school. How about an 84 Regal? Aren't they supercharged? They were none of the Regals in that era were supercharged. They were turbocharged, and not all were. I've actually got a 78 Turbo Regal. The very first year they came out with the G-body Turbo Regal that I've had since high school that I've got stashed in back in the corner of the shop. Alan, NC raffle this week. Okay. I didn't get it yet. I don't have it yet. I got a few checks yesterday, but that was all part stuff. So I'll probably get you first of the week, Al. They did make Turbo Regals every year from 78 to 87. However, the first ones, like my 78, was carbureted. It was a 4-barrel on a 231 V6. Terrible turbo lag. Definitely nothing to write home about, except it was a glimpse of somewhat of a potential future for performance. Obviously, as we all know now, after they started fuel injecting them in the mid 80s, and then in 86, they intercooled them. So in 86 and 87, they were intercooled and turbocharged and fuel injected. And that's when we really started seeing performance out of them. That's right. Okay. Old school meant to say turbo. That's right. Yeah. And that's when we really started seeing the performance out of them. In 86 and 87, the Corvette wasn't even as fast as the Buick Grand National. So obviously did not sit well with corporate executives that this black Regal was outrunning everything else GM made, including their Camaros and their Corvettes and the Trans Ams and everything else. So, but they're great cars. They really are. And that's something I really need to buckle down, pay some stuff off, and get some money rattled to get a Grand National, because they're already getting expensive, but I do love them. So big job. No, we couldn't have this without you being the host. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. So that means a lot to me as well. Number one, the Corvette wasn't as pretty either. Yeah, and the C4 never has taken off. I've actually got one of those as well. Actually sitting back in the corner right now next to my Turbo Regal that I have had since high school too. So big job. The First Church of Iron, tax deductible, Father Chad. The tax deductible part, I'm totally down with that. If we want to make this a church, I'm good. I mean, all that way. And then it will definitely have to go in both buildings. So then both buildings will be churches. So I don't know if I can get that past the county appraiser or not, but I think it sounds like a great plan to me. I'm going to have fiber in the new building next to me too, so we can hold services in both of them. Old school. Ever own a Celine Mustang? Nope, never have. In fact, I've never owned a Mustang that I actually drove. The only Mustang over in the new building is Shayla's car that she's had since high school that I had restored for her, and it's a base 69 302 coupe. But it was hers since high school. They still had it, or folks still had it, so I had that car completely done for her because it had been patched so many times that I had it blown apart, put new quarters and everything on it, and did it right. So, but I've never owned a Celine Mustang. I've never owned any Mustangs in my personal collection at all. So. Big Job says, let's go. Let's do it. So, yeah. Old school says the Church of Rust. So, yeah. Hey, I'm down here, appraiser to go with it. I'm good. So, but anyway, the new inventory this week, obviously the 61 Falcon we picked up. Good little car, ton of good pieces on it. Pretty solid. A little bit of rust on the floors, but pretty solid car. Definitely could be a builder too. Darren says Mopar or no car. I've got some Mopars as well, as we all know. I mean, my Viper is definitely one of my favorites. Always loved the Vipers. Was super excited when I got that car. So Big Job says, bless my collection, Father. Yep, we'll bless everybody. We'll bless everybody's collections. So Also picked up, you may have seen it in the background of the 61 Falcon video, a 1971 F100, basic two-wheel drive, long bed pickup, V8 automatic. The thing is solid as a friggin' rock. I can't find any rust on it. Number one says, I'll stand over here and wait for the lightning. Yeah, good plan. Probably not a bad idea, number one. But that 71 F100, like I said, you may have caught a glimpse of in the background of the Falcon video, came from the same place, buried in some evergreen trees. All three of these Fords came out of some evergreen trees this week. The 71 F100 is solid. Don't know anything about it. Don't know if it runs. That's exactly how I bought it, complete other than the tailgate. Oh, and it's even got, I shouldn't tell you this, I'm going to give you a sneak peek before the video comes out, Yosemite Sam back off mud flaps. Oh, yeah. It's pretty cool. I'm excited about it. So the 71 F100, we're going to have a video coming up on that. It's a great truck. Old school. Did you guys see the video this week with Dennis Collins and Wayne Carini? They showed Carini's car collection. I did not see that, but I bet that's a pretty amazing collection for the connections that guy has and the circles he runs in. I bet that's some pretty amazing stuff. That'd probably definitely be worth checking out. The last car I picked up this week, actually at the same place. I did not own this one. The Falcon and the pickup I actually bought about 4 or 5 months ago. I just finally got in there to get them picked up. But I actually bought a Mustang out of there as well. Big Job loves Yosemite Sam. So there was a Mustang sitting back there in the evergreens as well that the guy decided to turn loose of. 66 coupe. Nothing really exciting other than just not a terrible little car. Of course, the quarters are rusty. It needs quarter skins. Structurally, the car looks great. A little bit of rust in the front floor pans, but I looked up underneath it, frame rails and everything. And structurally, the car looks great. So probably definitely a savable little 66 Mustang coupe. It's missing the hood, but I think I've got one of those on one of my parts cars. And no motor and tranny. But other than that, the interior's still in it. The seats are all in it. And, I think the car has some potential as well. It even has a title. It's an out-of-state title. I've got to get it transferred into a Kansas title. But there again, it's the rust. It's going to take quarter skins. There's no doubt about that. And a little bit of patchwork. But structurally, underneath, frame rails, the important parts, car looks pretty good. So we'll definitely be getting a video out on that little 66 Mustang coupe here, hopefully in the next week or two as well. Number one, ever having the old Fords with a wide drive, 4x4, only 5 drive shafts? I assume we're probably talking Marmon Harrington, but I'm not sure. I've had one Marmon Harrington truck over the years, and that was, 12 or 14 years ago. It was a 51 Marmon, and it was a big truck, like an F4, F5 Marmon Harrington. But that's the only one I've ever owned. I actually wrote one up a couple of years ago. There was a beautiful 51 F3 at Meekum, Denver, a couple of years ago, and I actually wrote that truck up when I did the article for Old Cars Weekly. So I assume that's what we're talking about is the Marmon Harringtons, but that's the only one I've ever had. Terry says that video was great. Check it out. Money's no object for those guys. Yeah, apparently so. So, yeah, I haven't caught that video yet, but I bet it's pretty amazing. So, Old School says Dennis has been buying and selling cars for 4 decades, and I'm sure of that. There's no doubt about that. Of course, I've been doing it for 3 decades, pretty much. It's crazy to think about. But I've been around it my whole life, and I started when I was pretty little, just bits and pieces here and there. But by the time I was a teenager, I was doing a little bit of it, not a ton, but I was doing a little bit of it by then. So obviously, the last 10 years is when I've really, really ramped things up to this level. About 10 years ago, I owned about 120 cars, parts cars, project cars, things like that. 10 years ago, in 2011, when I bought the facility that I have now, actually out at the yard that, the yard where I've got everything was actually a late model production yard. There wasn't hardly anything in there over 20 years old when I bought that property in 2011, and they smashed everything in there. So in the last 10 years, I've basically gone from 120 to 1,500. So it's been a busy 10 years. Number one says he disagrees. Money is the object with those guys. Yeah, those guys they've got some change to be rolling with the stuff that they play with. There's no doubt about that. But that's a whole different ball game. It'd be fun to be at that level, but I'm definitely not anywhere near that. So old school, the more higher end you buy and sell, the more profit you make. And there is some truth to that. However, you can also lose a lot more too. You know, some of that stuff, especially you get into some of those 12-cylinder Ferraris and things like that. You know, those 12-cylinder Ferraris, anything goes wrong and it's big bucks. You know, my Ferrari that I had was an 8-cylinder. The maintenance wasn't bad on it. You know, I did my own timing belts and things like that on the car. So, I mean, I was a little bit familiar with the 8-cylinder Ferrari, but everybody that I knew that, you know, in that world, when you talk about a 12-cylinder Ferrari, you talk about the maintenance, you talk about anything that goes wrong with something like that. And it's, you know, 10 grand on up instantly. So, you know, you buy $100,000 car for 80 and you try to sell it for 100 and you run into a problem, that problem can be 10, 15, 20 grand or more pretty quick. So it's gambling. It's just like anything else. It's just like when you put stuff in the stock market, it's a gamble. If you know what you're doing, you're usually, you can come out okay, but it's still a gamble on a lot of that stuff. So BW's garage, and that's right, BW, even the Dinos are crazy expensive. And I've never been a huge Dino fan. You know, to me, it's got to have a prancing horse on it. And that's kind of, you know, my thing, you know, when I had mine is I had to have something with a prancing horse because and the Dinos are great cars. Don't get me wrong. It just said Dino on it. It didn't have a prancing horse on it, but that's what, but you're right. The Dinos, and that was one thing a lot of people never thought would happen. Everybody always kind of expected the Dino to kind of drag behind everything, but the Dinos have really taken off as well. Big Job had a 51 Ford Marmon with a 500-mile snowblower on it. Sold it years ago at the ATS Nationals in Milwaukee. So, old school likes the 348. Yeah, and I do as well. I actually looked at a 348. I almost bought that 348. I looked at that 348 2 or 3 times before I bought my 308. There was a 348 that needed a little bit of work that a dealer had that I looked at, and I do like the 348. I'm with you, old school, and the 348 is a car that a lot of people, you know, is somewhat underappreciated at this point. But I'm with you, old school. I do like the 348s as well. So, but anyway, what's coming up this week on videos? We'll have another video from my buddy's yard. We'll probably pop that one up tomorrow night. Check out some more of the cool old iron he has in there. Plus, we will have, I got to do some new inventory. Holy cow, I got to do some new inventory. Obviously, you know, I was a little behind anyway, and I got the Falcon video squeezed in this week. We got to do the Mustang. We got to do the 71 F100. I've got a 74 Chevy Love that came in that I haven't done a video on. International Scout that we haven't done yet, and several more as well that are already sitting here that I haven't even showed you guys yet. So, but that Scout's a cool little truck. We need to do that. And like I said, I've got over 30 more to pick up. So lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff I've got to get squeezed in that we need to bring you guys and check out. So anyway, that's pretty much about what I've got for tonight. Like I said, I didn't build a real long episode and we still went an hour and a half, even though I tried not to build it to where we went on forever because I don't like, you know, it doesn't need to go on forever. And that's kind of, you know, and I know I appreciate you guys hanging on, but the reason this has turned into such a great chat is because of you guys. Old school Chevy Loves an easy sale. It's a 74. It's totally complete. Came off that farmstead that where I bought all those 25 or 26 cars that I've been working on. And I got to get back over there too. I've still got 17 or 18 over there, and I haven't even been there in 3 weeks, I don't think. And I don't think I was there the month before the auction. So that Love's about the only thing I've gotten out of there in the last 2 months. I've got to get on some of that stuff. Man, there's some great stuff in there. 2 Suicide Lincolns, bunch of pickups, late 70s Dodge pickup, late 70s GMC pickup, 69 Chevy pickup. A lot of great stuff in there, but I've got to get on that stuff, get some of that stuff picked up, and start bringing you guys some videos on it. So, but got some help on the desk. Come on, you need to get down. One of the shop cats decided to jump up here and make herself at home. You can see her tail. She didn't like that. So, but lots of stuff going on. We'll be bringing you some new inventory videos as well this week. So anyway, that's what I've got. Keeping up. Rusty Nail says, yep, Dodge pickup. It is a late 70s Dodge complete half-ton long bed pickup. How do I transport a single trailer? Yes, that's what I do. I've got 2 single car trailers, 20-foot deck, solid steel car, solid steel floor, 16,500 pound worn winches on them, and 2 Dodge Cummins pickups that I haul with. So, but yeah, that's how I do it. And a lot of people say, well, you need to get a 2-car hauler. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to get a rollback. The thing about it is that with a pickup, I can unhook the trailer and I've still got a pickup. So if I'm going to a swap meet, or a lot of times if we're going to go on vacation, we always take the pickup because I usually end up buying stuff and I need room for the pickups. So I need room to haul it. So I can unhook the trailer and go, and still have a pickup, hook the trailer up and go do what I need to do. Rollbacks, like I said, I've got the towing company that I just started with a buddy of mine. I'm just a minority in it, but Brent's running that truck and he's getting busy again. If you're on Facebook, be sure to check him out under Brent's Towing, and I'll probably start throwing some videos up on YouTube to help him out too. But so I've got that rollback. If I ever got in a tight spot and had to have a rollback, he can help me out with that. But yeah, that's kind of how I do them. And in Kansas, the 2 and 3 car trailers, DOT started getting real picky about those about 10 or 15 years ago. So I mean, I'll just stick with a 1-car trailer. Yes, it's a lot of work. Yes, it takes a lot of time, but I don't go real far. Most of the stuff, those 30-some cars that I need to pick up, I don't think anything is over an hour away. So it just makes it a lot simpler, a lot less hassle, a lot less commercial stuff as far as DOT regs and things like that, just running with a single car trailer. So Rusty Nails grill and bumpers for a 79. I don't know what year this one is. I think this one's round headlight, but I don't remember. Like I said, it is there is a video on, it is in one video on YouTube, Farmyard Tour number 4 that I posted a couple weeks ago. There is a glimpse of that truck on there if you want to check that video out, Rusty Nails. Number 1 says, BW, find a Dino and we can make a trade. So BW says if he's going to find a Dino, he's going to keep it. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I've got for tonight. Big Job, what's up? Winter says, Big Job. Big Job says, winter's coming. Maybe we'll have to come help trailer for you to get away for a while. So, but anyway, I'm going to get ready to sign off. If anybody's got any other comments, questions, be sure to throw them up there here in this last minute or so. We'll sure try to get to them as we wrap up. As always, thanks for stopping by tonight. Thanks for hanging out. I super appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I really appreciate the super chats. The super chats are awesome when you guys throw those up. And, I can't believe you guys come back week after week. We hang out and we've got a great group. Tell your friends about it. If they want to hang out, if you're enjoying it, let them know so they can get on with us and enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow night. We'll have a video from my buddy's yard. Wednesday and Friday, I should definitely got to get some new inventory out for you, as well as Toy Tuesday live, 7 o'clock Tuesday evening on YouTube only. Because I do that on my phone, so I won't be able to get I can't go on Facebook at the same time. So anyway, that'll be Tuesday night, and still need to work some stuff in that is going to be for sale. If I find a few things, we may start working some for sale stuff in on Tuesday nights as well. So Eloy needs to talk about the Riviera. Just give me a shout tomorrow, Riviera, on the Rivi Eloy, and let me know what else you need off that thing, and we can see what we can do there. So thanks, Terry. Appreciate the support. Thanks, Big Job, Father Chad. That cracks me up when you guys say that, but Scott says Scott's still with us on Facebook. Glad you hung in there, Scott. I'm glad you enjoyed it tonight. So anyway, appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you Tuesday night live, 7 o'clock Central Time for Toy Tuesday. And definitely see you back here next Sunday night, 7 o'clock Sunday night live chat. Have a good week, everybody. I'm going to haul some more cool iron in, and we'll get some more videos out on it. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.